This video is about writing the equation for a proportional relationship. This is a 7th grade math standard. Represent proportional relationships by equations. You'll notice their equation came out to be t is equal to p times n. That matches up with what we'll be talking about. Y is equal to r times x, where r is our unit rate. These problems normally start with a rate. So in this case, 210 kilometers in 7 hours. Your first step, find the unit rate. To do that, you'll divide those both by 7, and you come up with your unit rate being 30 kilometers in 1 hour. The words that apply to this, I would urge you to write these down to help you memorize these. That is the dependent variable over the independent variable. You can also say that it is the y value or y coordinate over the x value or x coordinate. And it is also sometimes referred to as the output over the input. The equation you've been given in previous videos has been y equals r times x. Working with students, they've tended to feel that it's a little bit easier if you switch this around and say that it's r times x is equal to y. Just because this way you can fill this in just going from left to right. The r is the unit rate. The x, the words that apply to it. It's the x coordinate, it's the independent variable, it is the input, and that will give you our y coordinate, our dependent variable, our output value. All right, again, all of those words apply. The formula, r times x is equal to y. So in place of the r, this is the only one that gets substituted with a number. You put in the unit rate, that is our 30, times. In place of the x, put a word that represents our independent variable. In this case, it's the number of hours. And when you multiply those, you get your y. Again, that's your dependent variable. Put a word that represents the top unit of our unit rate. In this case, kilometers. Simplify it. Put variables in place of those words, and you'd come up with 30 times h is going to equal our k. Simplified further, you can drop the dot and say that that is 30h equals k. Normally we'd ask you then to use your equation to solve other problems, such as this. How many kilometers would you travel in 5 hours? Start with your equation. 5 hours, you'd put a 5 in place of your h. 30 times 5 would equal k then. Do the arithmetic, you come up with 150 is equal to k. You would travel 150 kilometers in 5 hours. Or, how many hours would it take to travel 510 kilometers? Start with your equation. This time, for kilometers, you'd put the 510 in place of the k. Now your equation is 30 times h equals 510. You need to isolate the variable. You need to get the h by itself. To undo multiplying by 30, divide by 30. And you divide both sides by 30 to keep your equation balanced. You come up with h is equal to 17, or 17 hours is how long it would take to travel 510 kilometers. This problem, 36 cookies to 2 cups of flour. Again, you want to find a unit rate. If that's how much you can make from 2 cups of flour, you want to know how much you can make from 1 cup of flour. So divide by 2 to get it to be 1 cup of flour. Do the same to the top, divide by 2, and you come up with 18 cookies to 1 cup of flour. We're going to use C to represent cookies and F to represent cups of flour. Start with your formula, y equals r times x. Yeah, but let's switch it around. R times x equals y. The unit rate is the only one that gets a number put in place of it. It's 18 is our unit rate, so it's 18 in place of the r. The x value is going to be the bottom unit of our unit rate. In this case, that is the amount of flour, so it's going to be 18 times the amount of flour. And when you multiply these, you get your y values, which are the top units of your unit rate. In this case, a word that represent the top units would be cookies. Substitute variables in place of those words, and you come up with 18 times F is equal to C. Simplify it further by dropping the dot, you get 18F is equal to C. It's important that you recognize that is the same equation as C equals 18F. Another problem, 9 cookies in 6 days. Again, first thing, find your unit rate. Of course, you're going to divide both of those by 6. You come up with 1.5 cookies per day. Your formula, y equals r times x, again reversed. R times x equals y. That's going to be the unit rate times the bottom units will equal the top units of our unit rate. So again, the unit rate, that's the only one that goes in as a number, times, or that's 1.5 times the bottom units, the number of days, and that will equal our top units of our unit rate, the number of cookies. So you come up with 1.5 times D is equal to C when you put variables in place of those words. Drop the dot, you come up with 1.5D is equal to C. Again, that is the same equation. If you were to reverse it, C is equal to 1.5D. And again, using that to solve other questions, how many days would it take to eat 30 cookies? Start with your equation, 1.5D is equal to C. This time it's 30 cookies, so in place of the C, you're going to put your 30, and then to isolate the variable, you're going to divide both of those by 1.5. You come up with D is equal to 20. It would take you 20 days to eat 30 cookies. Another problem could be, how many cookies would you eat in 30 days? Start with your equation, and again, substitute in your number. This time it's the number of days, so in place of the D, you put 30. Do the arithmetic, 1.5 times 30, you come up with 45 is equal to C. That would mean 45 cookies would be the number of cookies you would eat in 30 days. Another problem, 12 fish to 4 turtles. First thing, find your unit rate. Divide the bottom by 4. Do the same thing to the top. Divide it by 4. You come up with 3 fish for every 1 turtle. Your formula, y equals r times x. Again, reversed. R times x is equal to y. And that's going to be your unit rate times the bottom units equals the top units. Substitute in. The unit rate's the only one that becomes a number. That's going to be our 3. Put in words for the time being. That's going to be 3 times the number of turtles will equal the top units of our unit rate, the number of fish or fishes. And then change those to variables. You get 3 times T for turtles would equal the number of fish. Simplify it. You've got 3T is equal to F. Again, important that you recognize that is the same as F is equal to 3T. Use it to solve other problems. If there are 24 fish, start with your equation. Substitute in 24 in place of the F because it's the number of fish. Isolate the variable. T is being multiplied by 3. You divide both sides by 3. You come up with T is equal to 8. There would be 8 turtles when there are 24 fish. How many fish if there are 100 turtles? Start with your equation. 100 turtles. Put 100 in place of the T. Do the arithmetic. 3 times 100 is 300. There would be 300 fish. Okay, pause for a moment and try these. Pause the video for a moment and try these 3 problems. Okay, back at it. Top problem, your first thing you do is you'd find your unit rate. It's 5.5 pages per hour. Your equation should have been 5.5 h equals p, or reversed, p equals 5.5 h. The second problem, your unit rate, 6.5 kilometers per hour. Your equation then, 6.5 times h is equal to k. Or reversed, k is equal to 6.5 h. The third problem, your unit rate, 11.5 cookies for 1 cup of flour. Your equation then is 11.5 times F is equal to C. Again, reversed, C equals 11.5 F. Okay, your next step is there's an equation practice Google form. Do the problems there, submit your answers, view your results. If you did well with it, then you'll go on to the next step. If you didn't do well with this, if you weren't getting the answers right, if you weren't getting the equation right, watch the video again and try it again. Okay, after you're successful at doing that practice, there's an equation quiz Google form. These you can only submit your answers once. So go be careful as you're submitting these. If you demonstrate that you can do the problems correctly, I will check to see that you have done this, and you can I will start sending you lesson check retakes to help you improve your grade. If you demonstrate that you really still don't quite understand how to write the equation, then what I need you to do is come in and meet me during office hours, and let's go over this again and see if you can get this figured out about how to write the equation. So that's what you need to do next. Good luck and make it a great day.